the bump and run, the Bristol move.
That's aggressive, but that's good. Good hard racing. Oh, he puts him out of the groove there.
Oh, man.
Will he get the bumper? Yes, he does. Here comes Logano. Logano on the inside. A drag race. They're sideways. And it's going to be Logano getting the win.
The back end of the 18. Kick out.
Yeah, he got into it right there.
Moved him out of the way.
Just got the lead.
It's almost too early to be racing that hard for the lead, wasn't it?
Never too early to be racing for the lead.
At Bristol.
At Bristol.
Man, this is one of the biggest wins in my career.
It's the bump and run.
Baby.
Yeah. Welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D. White, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a Martin Truex Jr. type of Monday. He was the big winner at his home track in Dover, Delaware. Fellas, before we get started, make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. You know what to do. Fellas, how's your weekend? Hopefully better than mine. I have to get it out of the way first and foremost. I apologize to the listeners at home. I have COVID right now, so if I go into a coughing fit, I apologize. I'm going to try to hit mute as quickly as possible, but some might slip through to
hey, what's the protocol if you die? Should we just carry on, just power through?
You want to know what? I want you to carry on the show for this episode, and then you guys have to just never listen to a podcast, never watch NASCAR again in my honor. No, yeah, keep it.
It'll be an R.I.P. Whitey instead of R.I.P. Neil. The tires got him. They got him.
Oh, there he goes. There he goes already.
The problem is once I get worked up, I start coughing. So no, it'll be R.I.P. White. No, I want you guys to keep the show going on. Of course, never find a third man, though. I want it to be like, did you ever go to a veterans, a VFW, and they have the table with the unlit cigarette and the unopened beers at the table? You can't sit there. That's for the fallen veterans. I want you to do that here. I just want a picture of this set with an empty chair every episode. And you guys carry on.
I mean, honestly, it seems like a lot of work. We're probably going to replace you.
Yeah, we'll do that for maybe 2 episodes, and then you're done.
Well, I hope
we'll have open tryouts.
Well, I hope that he knows how to run all this stuff because all the stuff's in my name too, all the domains and whatnot. So I'll
what? It doesn't matter. We'll act like Fox. We'll just keep cycling someone new in every week. We'll just keep cycling someone new in
every week. Next week it's gonna be Justin Pierce. A week after that it'll be Robbie Shredder Shrey. After that, our buddy Jay Doherty. You guys will survive the 36th season without me. You probably do a better show, in fact. But fellas, how was your weekend? Matt was at the track. I was supposed to be. I couldn't make it down. Eric and me watched it on TV. But how's your weekend in general? Did you guys have a good one?
I actually had a wedding on Saturday that I attended, my buddy Big Bear. So congratulations to him. And Friday, I planned on not doing anything because I had a wedding the next day. But you know how that goes. You tend to get a little too tuned up when you don't want to. One goes down good, then 2, then 3, then 4. You know. So I had a pretty eventful weekend, and capped it off with I'd say one of the best races that we've seen out of this next gen car.
Absolutely, definitely one of the best races of the season thus far. How about you, Matt? How'd you enjoy your experience going down to Dover and all that?
It was great, man. I love that track. I really do, and I'll get more into that side of things as we get deeper into the show. But we had a blast. We had a really good time. I shut down the Outback Steakhouse on Saturday night. Sat there and drank with Christopher Bell's bus driver. He wasn't drinking. I think not that he was on the clock there, but he was the next day. But me and our buddy Justin Pierce, fan of the show, we were definitely tuned up and listening to his stories. And the guy, his name is Richard Coleman, and has a really good story. Look him up. He's been in the industry for a long time, and we just chatted with him for a few hours there, and he was, I would ask him questions and he was open and honest with everything, and I learned a lot about about how he's a bus driver for Bell, but he's also a spotter. He spots for the Hill brothers, but he spotted for others in the past. And it was really an insightful conversation. So I gave him a bump and run card. I don't know if he'll be listening, but if he is, Richard, it was great talking to you, buddy. We exchanged numbers. So I told him, if he's in the Pocono area or when he's in the Pocono area, give me a shout. And yeah, you never know. But other than that, it was a great time. We made the most out of it. The race got called early, and we just turns out there's nothing to do in the town of Delaware other than to drink. So luckily enough, we're good at that. We enjoy doing that. So that's what we did while we waited out the rain, and then got to the race Monday and saw, like Eric said, one of the best races we've seen in this next gen car.
Yeah, speaking of rain, I was on the fence. I didn't realize I had COVID until yesterday. So I'll tell you guys the story because I was on my way down to Dover on Sunday. We've been watching the radar all week long. We knew it was going to be raining and everything. And there was like a 2-hour window, and I'm laying in bed and I'm just contemplating. It's like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, do I go? Do I do it? And I keep every 20 minutes, I keep checking, and the window keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I turned to Brie, I go, I'm sorry. Because she told me, she's like, you sound terrible. You shouldn't be out in the rain. Little did we know we had COVID anyway. She's like, you shouldn't be going down and sitting in the rain for a race. And I turned to her, I go, I know you're right, but I have to go. It's a sickness. It's a disease.
It's a sickness.
No, just the thought of knowing that we have tickets. One, I'm cheap and I didn't want to eat the $160 I spent on these tickets or however much it was. I forget what it was. And two, I just got the vision of Tyler Reddick winning in Dover and me being 3 hours away and not being there because I didn't want to brave the rain. So my plan was she agreed. She's like, okay, I'll go with you. So we're heading down on the turnpike. Thankfully, we got a late start and we didn't even get there. And Matt, you called me. You're like, where you at, bud? I'm like, I didn't even hit the tunnel, the Lehigh Valley tunnel yet. He goes, turn around. So I
said, dude, turn around. We were standing there. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
go ahead.
It's okay. No. I want to know your perspective too, because
we were over. Do you remember where we saw Ross Chastain last year walking into the track? Or Eric, you were with me.
Yeah.
So we were right there, and we were just kind of standing there. For anyone who doesn't know, we were right at the part of the outside of the track where like all the drivers and crew walk into the track. So we were standing there, kind of waiting to see who we would see. And a lady came walking back, I guess towards her husband or something, and she said, They just canceled everything, and and we're like, wait, what? Like, she's like, yeah, they just canceled everything, including the race. And Justin and I looked at each other and we're like, there's no way NASCAR does not cancel the race this early into the day, ever. So like, no way. Sure as shit, he pulls up Twitter, goes to old reliable Bobby Pockrass, and it was canceled 10:30 in the morning. So I was like, oh my God, I'm pretty sure Whitey's on his way down. Like, I got to call him. Like, I got to call him. And so that's when I called you and I'm like, dude, turn around. It's canceled.
Yeah.
And that right there is the reason why NASCAR should do it more often.
Exactly.
When they know the radar, when they know the window is so small. Yes, there's a window, but I think NASCAR made a great move and got another notch up in the belt with the fans after this call, because just like Whitey, they probably saved a lot of other people a drive down there. And I think that, I mean, Matt, I'm pretty sure you'll get into this as well, but I think that had a lot to do with the turnout on Monday, which I'll tell you what, I was watching it on television, but it was a good Monday crowd.
Yeah,
I'll get into it. I'll get into all of that, what we just talked about, but yeah. It was awesome to see. It
was definitely a positive for the fans, because that's all I saw on Twitter was thank you for calling it this early before we started our journey and stuff. Because in the Northeast, you know, you have a lot of different states that are very close to Delaware. You have New Jersey, you have New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland. So there's a wide circle that are going to travel an hour or two to get to that track. So it was definitely a positive, and we made the best of it. And we went to the King of Prussia Mall. Again, I didn't know I had COVID at the time, so I do apologize for being around in the crowds and stuff. But and then whatchamacallit? So the whole weekend we were making like contingency plans. Like our buddy Jay was supposed to go down, but he was expecting it to rain anyways. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going down on Sunday regardless. And Bree has work the next day, so I'm coming back regardless too. So if you want to jump with me on Monday, like, yeah, let's do it. Well, then he texts me later on after everything got canceled. He's like, oh, our buddy Alex and his dad are driving down. Do you want to jump in with them? I'm like, perfect. Well, Monday morning rolls around. I'm excited. It's race day. I wake up feeling terrible. And I just think the worst. I'm like, all right, I don't want to get in a car with Alex and his dad. I don't even know Alex's dad. And I'm like, I better make sure. And sure as shit, I got COVID. Thankfully, it rained the day before, though, so I could use my weather guarantee and get a set of tickets for next Dover's race.
You're never going to see that race, Whitey.
I'm never going to see that race.
Forget those tickets. You got to do that after this show tonight.
I already did it.
Go on and do those tickets right after this show.
Yes.
I already did it because the same thing happened last year. It got rained out. I think we saw, 20, 30 laps of the race last year before the rain set in. And I waited too long. I guess you can't submit for the weather guarantee after tickets go on sale for the next event because they can't guarantee your seat, which completely makes sense. But I waited until February to put it in, so I had to buy a new set of tickets.
So did you already do it?
Yeah, I put it in today, so I didn't forget. Yeah,
that's the quickest you've probably ever done something, like as far as procrastination goes.
And honestly, I did it about 2 hours ago because I forgot to do it yesterday. So if I didn't do it today, I probably never would have remembered. But so that was my journey. I watched it on television. I thought the race was really good. I know we're excited to do this podcast, but first, I think we got to jump into some NASCAR news because we got some exciting news to talk about.
The Bump and Run NASCAR news.
All right, a piece of news that what's up?
Eric just let one rip.
Ooh, that just came out of nowhere there. These Labatt Blues, they sneak up on you.
Guys, you can't make me laugh because that's when the coughing attacks come on.
Oh, dude, we're going to get you.
You're in trouble, man.
All right, I know. If you're listening at home, I'm really sorry, but I figured one podcast with sniffles and a cough is better than no podcast at all. But one story everyone's probably pretty familiar with because it happened at the tail end of last week, but I figured we'd talk about it. Alex Bowman is going to miss 3 to 4 weeks after a sprint car crash that fractured a vertebra in his back. Josh Berry is filling in. We saw Josh Berry get another top 10 in that 48 car on Sunday. So he's definitely earning his praises. And to side note of that, Larry Mack said on his Sirius XM show that Josh Berry will be announcing a Cup Series ride at the Coke 600 due to manufacturer conflicts. And if you read between the lines, it looks like Josh Berry will take over the 4 car when Kevin Harvick retires. I think that's very exciting news. Matt, you're shaking your head. You're the resident Josh Berry fan. Just tell us how you feel, man. I want to know.
Very conflicted. Very conflicted. Because I've become like a super fan of Josh Berry's. Like his journey, the fact that he's best friends with Dale Jr., the fact that he races for Dale Jr., the fact that he's a knockout on the racetrack. Like he's so good, he's so talented. All of that combined, like I'm just so drawn to him, and I'm a huge fan of his. And if you listen to this show long enough, you know that I am just totally not a fan of the 4 car and the current driver of the 4 car. But I'm not a Ford guy. Yeah. I'm an anti-Ford guy. That's just something with the family that's run back my entire life. I've been just developed. My brain has been developed to be anti-Ford my whole life. And so the fact that all signs are pointing that Josh Berry is probably going to be in the 4. Like, I don't know what to do.
I'll say this, Matt. I'll tell you right now, because I have experience with this same exact thing. As well does Whitey after this last season here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't I wouldn't worry about it at all. I would be ecstatic that he's getting his cup ride.
Yeah.
He will make a name for that 4 car. I mean, Harvick wasn't that 4 car when he went into it. You know, he started out in the 29 car. So it's like everybody has an opportunity to make their own name with that number. And I thought that too. When Matt Kenseth, I picked him because he was a Ford in the Ford camp. I'm a Ford guy.
Oh, I forgot about Kenseth at Roush. Yeah.
And when he left and went over to Joe Gibbs, and they were the Toyota team, new Toyota team, and you know all the turmoil around that when they first entered. And, you know, I'm like, damn, do I switch drivers now? I almost was a Ricky Stenhouse Jr. fan because he replaced Kenseth in that 17 car. And just to stay with Ford. But I'm like, you know what? I'm like, NASCAR, to me, at the time, I affiliated with the driver, and I got attached to a driver and not necessarily the manufacturer. So I stuck with Kenseth, and it paid off. And even Eric Jones filled in, came in that 20 car. Then he went from Toyota over to Chevy. And I'm a Ford guy still. Never got to my Ford. I'm a Chevy guy. I didn't give a shit because I'm an Eric Jones fan. And, you know, I don't think it matters as much nowadays who they're driving for, manufacturer. Like, as long as it's a top tier team, he's not going to a back marker.
That's
he's going
true.
to one of the premier teams. So to me, the way I think now, I don't think manufacturer and things like that really play into whether, like, for you to be like, man, I can't root for him now, you know?
True.
So if from my experience, I would say root for him and get whatever you can out of it and just be ecstatic that you're going to see him on the track with Chase Elliott, and you're going to have 2 top tier guys that you root for. You know, I still follow Christopher Bell. You know, he was one that I followed Xfinity 20 car. I was a big fan of Christopher Bell, and I still am. So it's like, I kind of root for a couple drivers. So you can look at it that way. I think you're going to be okay. I think you're going to be just fine.
What would have been perfect is if Martin, my closet guy, you know, you guys know I've been a not so secretive Martin Truex Jr., you know, mega fan. And it would have been nice, you know, Josh is in that Bass Pro Shops car in the Xfinity series. If he just, you know, Martin retires at the end of the year, Josh jumps into that 19. That would have probably been a great situation. But you're right. I mean, I've just got to swallow it and just be, you know, happy for them. And who knows? Maybe it's not the 4 that they run next year because Harvick is a legend. You know, sometimes they'll take a different number and slap it on the car out of respect for the legend that just stepped away. So if they do that, that would be even better because then, you know, it's not the 4 that I'm rooting for. It's just maybe it's the whole completely new scenario. So
I'll let the show go on. I don't want to jump on toes here.
Well, yeah, we got more to talk about, but I do think this is an interesting conversation because I kind of understand, like, it's weird, but the number does kind of make a difference, you know, like I don't like the 45 number, and like I feel a little different this season watching Tyler Reddick where, and like Eric said, like I'm kind of paying more attention to Christopher Bell. In fact, I made the jump. You know, on the NASCAR app, you could put your little favorite next to your driver, and they'll put it right on top so you can see your position. I have Reddick and Bell with the little star next to them, so I could see where both those guys are on track at all times, which could be fun for you too. Where now you have a guy in the Ford camp, have a guy in a Chevy camp. I've been a Ford driver my entire life. I've owned nothing but Fords and Mercurys. My last, I don't know how many, 4 or 5 cars. And I got a Chevy Camaro Caterpillar number 8 sticker in one corner, and then a 45 slapped on the old 8 on the other corners to show everyone that I'm an OG 8 fan and not a Kyle Busch 8 fan. But
I'll tell you what, with the other news, Matt, there is a possibility that it is not the 4. It is another maybe top tier ride.
Oh, Interesting. I don't know. We'll have to talk about it. But
I don't know where you're going here, but I'm excited to see where that one goes.
I am excited about that because I'm not sure if the contracts would line up where I think Eric is thinking. But speaking of contracts, NASCAR and SiriusXM signed a multi-year extension on their contract. So NASCAR Radio Channel 90 will continue. That is the only reason why I still pay for SiriusXM, but I love it. I think it's a great resource. That's where we get most of our information for this podcast. And
literally the only reason why I spend I think my subscription is $130 a year.
Yeah.
The only reason I buy, I don't even listen to NASCAR radio that much anymore because I can't take the callers. I pay that money every year for the sole purpose of the off chance that I'm in a vehicle while a race is going on, whether it's trucks, Xfinity, or Cup. And it's rarely Cup because I clear my plans out so I can watch the Cup race. So I literally I don't listen to like the other channels barely ever because I'll listen to my own podcasts and stuff. So I have a Sirius subscription just for the off chance that I'm in the car during a race. It's the stupidest subscription I have.
I'm usually in a car on a Saturday during the Xfinity race, and I can't tell you how many endings and finishes I've listened to on the radio, and they all sound exciting. It's fantastic. They do a great job. But Eric, you looked like you were about to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, my cousin Shredder, he on Monday he listened to the race while he was at work, and he said that it was exciting as hell, and it was fun, and the way, I mean, we all know because we've listened to them before. He did mention too that it was better than listening to the broadcast.
It's good, man.
As long as you have a creative imagination, which I feel like we all do, you could paint the picture while listening to those guys absolutely dialed in on the radio call.
The only thing I want to say about that, we can move on, is I wish Ray got to listen to the MRN guys instead of the PRN guys. And that's no shot at the PRN guys. They're great at what they do. I just think the MRN guys do such a better job. They're amazing at what they do. Like I said, not a shot at PRN. I'm just a big time MRN fan.
No, I agree. I think PRN does a great job, but MRN is something special. I don't know. Steve Post in the pits, Mike Bagley in the corner. They're just fantastic all in all. But I love the PRN broadcast too. I think they do paint just a great picture. The more familiar you are with the track and the sport, if you could paint that picture, no problem. They do a great job. Speaking of pictures, though, NASCAR is looking at a streaming option in the next media deal. Fox and NBC are expected to renew the TV rights. It sounds like they want to carve out a stretch in the summer for a streaming service. Kind of like you remember years ago, TNT would get a block of races in the summertime when they're not up against other sports. It seems like they're looking to their options for that. So we'll see what happens with there. What do you guys think about the streaming service? Do you think that's the right direction?
Yeah, everything is. You have to go with the times. You have to. I don't give a shit what anyone says about cable, about blah, 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 old people, rural. It doesn't matter. Go with the times. You want to get the younger crowd? The younger crowd's going to have it. They're going to have the app. They're going to have the subscription. That's what they know and recognize. The sport is about moving forward right now, and we're still hanging on to the old, keep those old fans. Nah, the sport is moving forward. We got to keep moving with it. I watch on the app every week.
Yeah.
Whether it's Fox Sports app or NBC app, I'm watching it on the app every week. So I think the majority of people do the same thing, and I can see that being the future for sure.
So a big story this season has been the ratings have been down just across the board. And I'm wondering if it's just the sheer fact that a lot of people don't have cable as much as they used to. They don't have I have an antenna to watch the Fox and NBC broadcasts, but like you, when it's on FS1, I'm borrowing Matt's cable password and logging into the app. I wish that the NASCAR app itself had an option to watch the cameras with the MRN or the PRN feed, because they do when they did at least last year. I don't know if it was just during the NBC years or NBC portion of the schedule that they allowed their cameras to be shown on the app, but Fox doesn't. I know that for sure. So I don't know. I just feel like the more people you reach, that's better for the sponsors. It's better for the fans. It's better for the teams, like everything. It's just monetizing that app and stuff too, you know? But I think it's interesting. And the last piece of news, what a bombshell we got earlier today. I'm glad we're doing the podcast today as opposed to our normal Monday, because I didn't see this coming. I don't think anybody saw this coming. Just announced today, Legacy Motor Club, formerly Richard Petty Motorsports and Petty GMS, will be switching manufacturers to Toyota starting in 2023. Absolute bombshell. What do you guys think about old Jimmie Johnson and Maury Gallagher switching to them cheating Yoders?
I'll tell you what, as the resident, I don't even want to say LMC, dude. I sound like such a tool bag. Like I can't.
Well, you're the resident Eric Jones fan, so tell us how you feel about Eric Jones's team moving over, or our club moving over.
It's kind of frustrating, because I know I just talked in previous episodes leading up to the next gen car and what was going on with him leaving and going over to Richard Petty. And after that first year in Petty, I talked about how it was a refreshment for Eric himself to get to a new organization, see how they operate, see how the Chevys and that camp does everything compared to where he's been for 8 years with Toyota, and coming up and kind of just being used to being around the shop, and like, I kind of took it for granted in a way back then at Toyota, just walking through, it is what it is, you know, and he kind of got a breath of fresh air moving over to Richard Petty and the 43. And you saw what that did last year. You saw that it motivated him. You saw how well that team worked. And this year, they were my wreckers probably 2 or 3 weeks because of their performance just fell off a cliff big time. And I'm wondering what happened. I'm looking to see these first couple races where he ran top 5, top 10. He's running 30th, 20th. It's like, what's going on? They can't qualify. They can't practice. Like, they literally have zero speed on the racetrack. They can't keep up with anything. It is night and day difference.
Yeah.
And now we know why.
Now we know why. And Eric Jones was on with Moody on the way home from work today. And I stayed in my truck and listened to what he had to say about it. And, you know, he didn't seem overly enthusiastic, which I could agree, because we're only 11 races into this year.
Yeah.
And Whitey, I feel like I'm in the same situation you were, where when you know you're going to a different team, not only a different team, but a different manufacturer, like,
it puts a black cloud over everything, where it's like, are you going to perform? So, you know, like, what information are you going to get now? You know, all that stuff.
And Moody asked me, "Oh, do you think it's going to affect?" And of course, Eric Jones is going to give the
political answer.
No, I don't care. You know, we're going to put forward. They assured us that everything is going. Yeah. The reason they're going to Toyota to begin with is because Chevy has too many players in the pot.
Yeah.
And they're last on the totem pole.
Yeah.
As far as funding everything. So Trevor Bayne was on there as well, co-hosting with Moody. And he kind of said in a way, like, that's how they feel. They feel if they jump to Toyota, they immediately get to the top of the totem pole.
So
now you're getting all that extra data points. You're getting all this other information. Now you're getting the funding. Now there's only 6 Toyotas. You become part of that only lone group where you're getting all that information. You're at the top now.
Yep.
You're giving yourself a better chance as an organization to win races. I like the move. I could see it where they're going. I understand it. I just don't. I hope that this year isn't a wash because of it. I hope they still, like Reddick, where he went out, won races, and still he went out and they gave it hell as a team.
They're gonna keep grinding for
performance. I hope
performance.
that happens, but you know, it's shocking for sure, and I hope that there's no bad blood, and you know, with Eric going back there, and you know, I'm sure there's not, but It's going to be interesting, especially since it's 2023 right there. That's quick. How are you going to turn that shop around? Are they already moving stuff out of that shop and getting ready for Toyota to come in? Is that why they're not really super focused? Like, I'm wondering this whole time, sorry to go on a rant, but like, where is Jimmie at this whole time? Chad Knaus, Jeff Gordon, they're doing wonders for Hendrick Motorsports behind the scenes in a suit role where you're doing this, doing that, making sure your team is up to par with everybody else. Where's Jimmie?
Jimmie was doing this because
Right.
Yeah.
Now, but it's all making sense now.
Yeah.
Now we have an answer. I'm like, before I'm like, what
is going on?
What happened?
So
and it makes sense too. And I guess, and Whitey, you can pick up right where Eric left off there. But I know David Wilson or Maury Gallagher and Jimmie Johnson went to David Wilson of Toyota.
He runs TRD.
David Wilson of Toyota, and they said that our biggest concern is we're so far down on the totem pole in Chevy that we're not getting, I guess, sim time. We're not getting all the data that we need because we're just so far down. Where if we come over to Toyota, we want to be up there with the 2311s of the world, the Joe Gibbs of the world. And I guess David Wilson reassured them that yes, if you make that jump over, we will have you up at the top with the rest of those guys. And I guess Jimmie or Maury, one of the two said that like we expect to be getting the performance out of our cars that 2311 is seeing out of their cars.
And so I was going to say, I heard an interview with Jimmie Johnson right around 5:30 on Moody. So they probably had everybody calling in on Moody's show. And Jimmie had a great interview because he said essentially that he goes, we're the low man on the totem pole. He goes, I've had a great 30-year career with Chevy. We've been working back and forth, but we're still going to be grinding. Right now, they're renting their engines from ECR. They're on the RCR campus. They want to build a shop that will be as good as 2311, as Joe Gibbs Racing, and TRD. They have been very selective on who they get in bed with, because they also want the performance. They don't want to put cars out there and just kind of like let them putz around. Now, there were a couple teams like, Levine Family Racing, where when Christopher Bell was in the 95 car, the performance wasn't there. Well, that was a Joe Gibbs affiliated team. This is not. This is just a straight up TRD team. And that's the direction they're going with. And not only that, now you have more numbers in Toyota on those super speedway races, which is very important because now you go from 6 Toyotas to 8 Toyotas. I think it's one less.
Possibly nine.
Yeah.
Oh. Maybe. Maybe. Eric. I would be down with that.
Yeah,
I would be down with that.
Before. This is what I'm saying. They have a third car over there.
Oh, yeah. Well, so I don't know.
That's my speculation, is maybe it's not Ford. So I'm just saying that to kind of maybe help you, to give you a little extra breathing room there, that it might not be a definite there. Think maybe elsewhere too.
Dude, teammates with EJ and Noah, running for Jimmie.
And Red
man,
and Bubba and like all those guys. That would be a stellar crew.
I'd be okay with that, man. I would be so okay with that.
I think it would be fantastic.
Are we putting our tinfoil hats on? Is this a tinfoil hat?
Well, this is where I said earlier in the text where maybe Junior says, hey, I know, look at Jimmie, 30 years with Chevy.
So. You guys,
maybe it's an opportunity. Maybe the money could be right.
I don't know,
you get
man.
that top tier ride. I don't know.
I don't
Junior's
think so.
not leaving Chevy ever. I don't think his old man would come back from the grave like Jesus Christ and punch him in the face if he left Chevy.
I mean,
but Josh Berry to Legacy Motor Club, dude. You never know. Maybe that's what Larry Mack said with the whole manufacturer thing.
No, I can guarantee he's going to SHR. I could more than guarantee it. From all of the people that have been teasing this all week, it's all people in the SHR type bubble. Clint Boyer on the Fox
come on, you can't just lift our buddy up a little bit, give him some hope that it's not.
It's all right. I'm okay. I'm at peace with it.
That he could go to.
Eric, your speech earlier really got me in a place where I needed to be. Josh Berry, no matter who he's racing for, that's my guy.
Yes, right.
Listen, I'm all for the tinfoil hats, but I cannot see Josh Berry going to a Legacy Motor Club team when everyone's hinting at it being at a powerhouse, and Legacy is trying to become a powerhouse by moving over to Toyota. No, he's going to Stewart-Haas Racing. Clint Boyer was teasing it like crazy on the Fox broadcast. Yeah, but you don't think he's still in with all the people at SHR? You race there forever. Tony Stewart was just on the Dale Jr. download this week. You don't think maybe they were talking shop? And I'm going to say that conflict of manufacturer is Ford, and it's because Alex Bowman broke his fucking back, and he's going to be out until the Coke 600 or so, you know? So I think I think that third car is for Jimmie Johnson at the Daytona 500 only, you know? But it would be fun. I'm sorry to just shit all over the tinfoil hat, man. I crumbled,
COVID boy.
I crumbled it up and I threw it out the window. I apologize. I forget even where we are.
We were just going over the news, Whitey. We're just getting started. You're all right.
Well, no, I was trying to pump you up, Eric. Oh, back to Legacy Motor Club though. I wonder too. So, did you listen to that junior podcast with Eric Jones last year?
Yes.
Where Eric was kind of talking about how he didn't realize how good of an opportunity he had because he was so naturally talented. He'd kind of just show up, didn't really do a whole lot of sim time. Then he kind of takes a step back. He's in a Richard Petty car. He's doing what he can. He realizes I need to do more, and he's kind of getting back in that cycle. I'm looking at this as like a major opportunity for Eric Jones to get back into that Toyota simulator that everyone in the Toyota camp raves about. And hearing Reddick move over to there, he talks about just the TRD program and the leaps and bounds better it is than the Chevy simulator and program and stuff like that. I'm really excited to see what Eric Jones can do in 2024. Back under the Toyota camp.
I'll tell you what, I'm to kind of wrap a bow with this thing here. I'm more excited for Noah Gragson. I feel terrible for that son of a bitch.
So bad.
Because everyone's ragging on me like, oh, look at Ty Gibbs doing this. Ty Gibbs, look at him. He's kid. Oh, he's doing. And like, I'm looking at it like Gregson's in just shit right now. He's doing all that he can to get out of that. And I think it's going to benefit him and his confidence, because I think that's taken a real big hit lately. And, you know, look at what Ty Gibbs is doing as a rookie in that equipment. I think Gragson could be doing that same thing with that equipment. So that was what I think Jimmie saw. I think Jimmie saw, hey, listen, Gregson's a talent. He could do the same exact thing Ty's doing out there, but we're not doing that. He's not able to do that. Something's wrong here. Let's give him a better opportunity. I'm excited for Noah more than anybody.
The sport needs Noah Gragson to be in good equipment because that kid is a personality and a half. The sport needs him to be good, winning races and in front of the camera as much as possible.
No, for sure. He is definitely a personality that you could do a lot with. And as long as the performance on the track gets up to snuff next year, I think he has a long and healthy career ahead of him. But let's talk about the race weekend. Let's jump into it. We had Ryan Truex. I'm sorry.
Oh God. Okay, he was about to call him Ryan Truex Jr. because everybody accidentally calls him Ryan Truex Jr.
Everyone
but it's just Ryan Truex.
Yeah, no, you want to know what? Because I even thought when I was typing out, I go, don't call him Truex Jr. when you do the podcast, and that's why it made me laugh. Ryan Truex got his first career win at Dover, celebrated with the family, and then his brother Martin Truex Jr. wins the very next day. I saw a cool statistic for you, Matt. They are one of 13 pairs of brothers to win in a same race weekend back to back like that. Oh, so big congratulations.
13, that's a high number. I would love to, we don't have time, but I would love to list as many of them as I could.
I don't think it was 13 pairs. I think it was 13 times that brothers have.
Okay.
But
I was going to say the Bushes, the Labanis, the Truexes, the Wallaces, maybe.
So the Wallace,
Mike Wallace. Maybe? They said it on the broadcast. Yeah. It was Mike Wallace and Rusty.
Yeah, Mike and Rusty Wallace. I know the Waltrips both did it. I don't think the Labantis did it. I don't know how much the Labantis drove in the Busch series. I'd have to double check again.
The Burtons?
The Burtons won.
Burtons?
Yeah. And then shit.
Petty? You say Petty?
I don't think so.
There was like 25 of the Petties. I feel like racing.
I can find
whether they're brothers or not, though. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like some are cut. Like the Petties, it's like, oh, he's the dad, he's the son, and then there's the other son, and then the other son. I think it's
the Yarborough or yeah, the Yarboroughs.
Nah, give me a second because I like the tweet. I'm looking in the past likes. It'll take 2 seconds. Oh shit!
Wow, this is great. This is great.
Great broadcasting. The problem is like so many goddamn tweets, and I don't think I liked this one.
That's all right. That's all right. I think we pretty much covered it.
It's still pretty impressive, though, that the brothers did that 13 times.
Yeah.
For how hard it is to win and to do that, that's a cool stat.
Yeah. Anyways, Martin Truex Jr., he led twice for 68 laps. The race lasted 3 hours, 27 minutes, 47 seconds. We saw 7 cautions for 46 laps and 19 lead changes among 8 different drivers. Your top 5, Martin Truex Jr., Ross Chastain, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, and Denny Hamlin. Fellas, let's jump into the race grades.
It's our NASCAR weekend race grade.
And we'll start off with Matt. Matt, what did you think about the race being out there live and in the flesh?
So I'm excited to give mine. I'm excited not just for mine, but I'm excited to hear your guys' as well. It's always cool when one or two of us was at the race and the other one was at home watching it on the broadcast, because it's interesting to get the different perspectives. But for me, guys, only the second one I'm handing out this year so far, it was an A+. We hinted towards it earlier in the episode here that it might have been the best, or maybe like top 3 best races that this next gen car has put on. We finally got the race that I was hoping we'd have, and the race we needed after Talladega last week, which had us all on the ledge ready to jump.
Oh yeah.
But what a race, man. Like, we saw the middle groove come in once the rubber was laid down. The track had, it was just cloud cover, and then we'd have sun for a little bit, and then we'd have some sun over in 3 and 4, but 1 and 2 would be covered, and vice versa. And then we'd have a little bit where the whole track was sun. And that middle lane came in, the rubber laid down pretty quickly, and we had passing. We had so much passing. Like, maybe it's because I was there and I was able to watch any battle I wanted, but I was able to see so much passing. And you guys, I know you guys said, talking through text message and stuff, that the broadcast actually, for once, did a good job at showing a lot of those mid-pack battles as well. But there was a lot of them. We saw at one point when the first time that Kyle Busch got sent to the back for speeding on pit road, we saw him I was just watching him the whole time, just clipping guys left and right, just boom, boom, boom. Just me and our buddy Jay, who is a huge Kyle Busch fan, was just like in amazement, like, oh my God, he's just ripping through the field. So being able to watch that was fun. And then, the whole MTJ and Ross Chastain, the whole last 100 laps, they put on a goddamn show.
Amazing battle.
They put on one of the best battles that I've seen in a long time, specifically because it was for the lead. It was for the race win. And we saw, comers and goers on pit road as well. We saw a hell of a 2-tire call by James
Small.
James, yes. Thank you, guys. Giving Martin 2 tires and letting him stay out there in front and take the lead in the win. And I enjoyed that race so much. And again, maybe it's because I was actually there, and that tends to happen when you go to a race. But according to you guys, and I see Eric shaking his head, so we'll move over to him. It was just as good on the broadcast. So just after that rather dark episode we put out last week of us just bitching and moaning, we got what we wanted.
Yeah, what did you think, Eric, watching the broadcast?
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything you said, Matt. It was phenomenal. I gave it an A+ too. I loved watching the strategies in stages 1 and 2 that we're hoping to work out for 3. Like Matt said, the sun going in and out, that caused people to over adjust or completely flat out miss it because the sun versus the shade. Some cars, they love the sun. Some cars, they like the shade. And that caused long run, short run, various cars, movers, comers and goers, like he said. And, you know, there were battles all day. And Fox finally, thank you for showing them. They finally got their act together and were showing the battles. And even like, I noticed them when the lead got tight, they went back to the lead. Oh, okay, it's not tight. Okay, the leader's green flag stop. We're going to go back over to here. They did an absolutely great job. And I will say, you do a great job when you do a great job. We're not always shit on Fox. Put something out good. We'll praise you for it.
Oh, yeah.
So, Matt, yes, the race on TV was great. The fuel and tire wear came into play at the end. Terrible for some guys with the fuel at the end. NASCAR, good on them for giving an extra set of tires because we know this track just eats up the tires. And we saw that to be a problem. And I said earlier in the year, the tire issues of last year made for better racing. And what did we have on Monday? Tire issues, and we had better racing because of it. Because the drivers need to be able to control that. We saw the talent out there on the racetrack, and whoever was able to manage that throttle, manage those tires, manage that fuel, figure out the top line, get that clean air. The battles for the lead were awesome to watch because these drivers had to do whatever they could do to get around a guy. You couldn't just go up to him. You couldn't play follow the leader. You had to create your own clean air. You had to create your own line. You had to search for that middle. You had to search for a little bit higher. You had to start diamonding. You had to start, blocking, taking his air away. You take my line. I'm going to take your line. And you couldn't have a car that ran great just on the bottom. You couldn't have a car that ran just great on the top. Your car needed to be able to go where you needed to put it. And there were a select few that were able to do that. And, it's a breath of fresh air, Matt. You're right. After last week, that we had no crazy accidents where people got hurt.
Yeah.
We had no controversy. We had nothing but good, solid Monday afternoon racing. And that, I think, was the cherry on top for me to give this race an A+. We came out, what are we talking about right now? Racing, how good the race was, the battles. That is what we wanted to see. The crew chiefs going at it. What do we do? What's he going to do? 2 versus 4. You saw some cars like the 4. Chastain didn't like 2 tires on his. That's why that last stop, he went with the 4. It was already predetermined. His car didn't handle well with only 2 tires. So you saw, strategy. This race to me was something that we needed, Matt. You're correct. And I hope this race propels us going forward. But it was, to quote Matt earlier, this got the juices flowing. Keep feeding me this. This is what we need.
Yeah, this was the shot in the arm I think we definitely needed as fans. Just a great race overall. I also give it an A. There was a bit of a piece of controversy though, that Ross Chastain move.
I love it. I love it because he's such a scumbag.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but
yes, we will.
I thought it was an A. I'm not going to give it an A+. I got to be honest with you. You remember when you were a kid and you were sick and you were having a sick day and you're laying on the couch and the sunbeam hits you just perfectly and you're in and out of naps. That happened to me a little bit in the second stage. So I woke up disoriented and I didn't really know what was going on in the second stage. And I saw that it was a big, long green flag run and there was tons of different, I feel like it was a pit road race. Like you needed to be money on pit road. I woke up during the battles of William Byron and, who was he battling?
He was battling a ton of people all
Yeah.
day.
Maybe it was Ross Chastain. I forget who was battling for the lead at the time, but they swapped. Like one guy had.
It was Ross.
Yeah, one guy
'cause they
had like.
pitted. He pitted before him. He took the lead, and then they pitted again earlier. He took the lead back.
And like when Ross took the lead by pitting earlier, he was like, their pit road time was almost exactly the same. The pit crew got him like 0.2 of a second, and then he was able to beat him on the track. And then the next cycle around, William Byron did the same exact thing where he was like 0.2 of a second. His pit crew was 0.2 of a second quicker. So I was like, oh, nice. We got a nice strategy race. I already remembered like stage one. There was the issues with the tires, which I loved because normally a green racetrack, it takes a long time to rubber up. I felt like Dover rubbered up super quick, and
it happened quick.
Like
I was watching the track, and I remember looking over at Justin at one point and saying, like, dude, like we're rubbered up pretty good here, and it was early on in the race.
Yeah, and I love when tires are a factor. I feel like we don't get enough of that, so I thought it was fantastic all around. The third stage was absolutely amazing, especially like, you know what? I'm going to give Fox credit for this too. At first, I didn't like the little stage counter where they had the green and then they'd have where the yellow was and then the green. At first, I just thought it was like hokey. It's like, who cares? But
I love it.
Sorry.
Oh no, we have a coughing fit.
But yesterday, I was watching. I'm like, man, I love that. I know this is a nice long green flag run because now I'm starting to get interested. Like, okay, well, who's gonna pit now? Like, what's the strategy? Kind of helped along with that, and I was so disappointed when the caution came out for Joey Logano, not because I don't love seeing Joey Logano wreck and his car catch on fire, because I really do, but I was loving the cat and mouse game of Ross Chastain just kind of catching up to Martin Truex Jr. and then fucking Kyle Larson holding him up. Like, it was so exciting. The lap traffic was exciting, and I'm just glad that the right car won, because if Martin Truex Jr. didn't win that race, it would have been a goddamn travesty. He did such a good job all day long, and
I would have been okay with the Blaney win because he almost had him.
Yeah,
he had him. He raced him clean.
Yeah,
he's like he let off so many times on the bottom, so he didn't wash up and wreck both of them out.
Yeah.
But Blaney could have won that race.
No, yeah, because Blaney did the two tire call too.
Respect. I think that was a respect thing there between those two for sure.
I forgot to tell you guys to get a little self-involved for just a second here.
Yeah.
So it was before the race, and we were at the Bob Evans eating breakfast and everything.
Yeah.
And I just, for whatever reason, I got a really good feeling about MTJ. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put money on him. I'm definitely going to bet on MTJ, right? So I pop open the DraftKings app. I find him great odds. At that point, he was plus 1,100.
Yeah.
So it was like $10 to win like 120 or 130 or something. So I'm like, this is going to be great. Like, I just have this great feeling, right? I go to hit enter. Nope. Delaware doesn't allow sports gambling. So I couldn't enter my bet. So
that's a whitey move, Matt. That's such a whitey move.
I know. And the kicker is, on the way down on Sunday, Justin told me, he's like, dude, get your bets in before we leave Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, I've got everything done. Like, I'm good. I have everything in that I want to have in. And so, like, coming towards the end of that race, I'm so excited that I'm going to get to see a Martin Truex Jr. win.
Yeah.
But also, like, I could have won money on this too. So that was just, I thought that was funny.
If you listened to Eric last week, and I meant to hit the money gun earlier in the show, you would have got better. You would have got better odds, and you would have won a lot more money, because he told you to pick Martin Truex Jr. last week during the betting segment.
That's our fourth exacto of the season for anyone keeping score at home.
No, I thought it was our fifth.
Or fifth.
No, that's
exacto.
our fourth. That's our fourth. Yeah. But yeah, just a great race overall. And let's jump into our checkers and wreckers.
3 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's checkers and wreckers.
All right. Since we started with Matt for the race grades, let's start with you, Eric, for the checkers and wreckers of the weekend.
All right. See, do I start with my checkers or my wreckers? I know we switch it up. My wreckers goes to Ross Chastain.
We'll save some time, because so does mine.
That was just that was just a bad move on his part. You are already a meme page. You are already having Fox have a segment that cuts to you and says, thanks Ross, for all the shit that you did on the racetrack. And then you go and do such a bonehead move. 80 laps into a 400 lap grueling race at Dover. Yeah. You're going to do that to a lap car and say that we're trying to pass him. You're just trying to follow him. I don't take any of that.
No.
Like Trevor Bayne said on Sirius XM today, and I couldn't agree more with him. Trevor goes, he learned in Xfinity. He learned in trucks, which aggressiveness there pays off.
Yeah.
Because the races are short. In Cup, the end of an Xfinity and truck race, you might not even be at the end of stage 1 in a Cup race.
Yeah. No, for real.
So you have to learn how to control yourself and to not be aggressive throughout a race. And he said there's about a 5% buffer that you have that you know to give to either a lap down car or a car slower than you and still put down fast lap times. The best of the best, Trevor said, do that. They have about a 5% window that they know, okay, I'll let off, but still being able to make fast lap times.
Yeah.
He hasn't figured that out yet because he's so used to
being a lap car,
short truck races.
No,
and
you know what I think a lot of it has to do with too. For a long time, because he raced a lot of Cup races before he went full time, but he was in Rick Ware cars or Spire Motorsports cars where he was racing.
Drive the shit out of it.
Just drive the shit out of it, and he knows nothing else. I think that has a lot to do with it too.
Sure it does. Yeah, I just to piggyback off Eric, so we can just kind of do this all in one shot here. Like I said, my records is Ross Chastain as well. You know, it was low hanging fruit for sure, but you know whether he meant to wreck Brennan Poole or not, he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt anymore.
No,
it's actually expected that at some point during a race, someone's gonna get Chastained. You know, our buddy Jay, like I said, he was sitting with us for the race. You know, he said to me when the race started, you know, it's only a matter of time before Ross causes some sort of caution, and he nailed it. You know, it's just silly errors. And the part that kills me is he's clearly a talented driver. He's clearly a top 5, top 10 talent in our sport, but he's making enemies in the garage. He's making enemies in the stands. Not that he cares about that, but you know, I heard a lot of boos his way during driver introductions after that boneheaded play or move. You know, it's just, he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt anymore, and he's got a bad reputation, and you got to correct that because you need friends. Whether he says he needs friends or not, you need friends on the track. And you saw what happened, you know, with Larson.
That goes into my checkers. That goes right into my checkers. My checkers is Kyle Larson checking up Ross Chastain.
Actually doing something.
And that right there is exactly what you get when you make enemies and you do dumb shit on the racetrack week in and week out to multiple drivers. When you're going down, he was probably going to catch Truex there. He was on his ass.
He was.
But guess what? Enemies out there on the racetrack, they're going to be Ryan Newman every single time that you try to pass them. They're going to drive like Ryan Newman, the hardest dude to pass on the racetrack. And I loved that Larson held him up and did what he did, because that just goes to show, hey, nobody wants you around here.
Mm-hmm. So I'm glad you brought up those 2 points because I agree. I didn't give Ross my records, but I totally agree with you guys because it's been just a constant pattern. Mm-hmm. The problem is, look at the points right now. He's number 1 in the points. He keeps getting away with it, and it's because guys haven't held him accountable on the track. Of course, we know Denny Hamlin has, and then he goes and gets fucking fined for it, you know, because he said it on this podcast. I'm glad Larson held him up. I'm not a big Larson fan. I was screaming at the TV going, fuck yeah,
same,
Kyle, do it, you know? And I saw a tweet, and it really resonated with me because I was a fan of Ross Chastain for a long time in the Truck Series, in the Xfinity Series. In fact, I bought a fucking Melon Man sticker to put on my laptop in 2020 at the Daytona 500 in his little merch hauler. He was like, it just had little tiny merch. I'm like, oh, let me get a Ross Chastain sticker because I like the Melon Man, you know? And now, 3 years later, I'm like, man, I really don't like how he like what he does on the track, but the performance is there. And it's because drivers keep letting him get away with it. And I'm glad Kyle Larson finally did something. I really am.
I'm glad someone did something like Larson and Denny. And you know, there's a list of people. Bowman tweeted about it saying, oh, I'm sure he's sorry about it and didn't mean to do it. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Eric Jones, he got it. There's a long list of people that he got into it with. And it is just like, at this point, He made it 3 wide every fucking turn 1 at Dover. He pushed everybody 3 wide from the very beginning of the race.
Every restart, I watched him. He jumped up high and he went 3 wide every single restart. I'm like, he's going to wreck someone out. He's going 3 wide every single restart. He's going to wreck somebody out.
Now, if that, like, you could say, okay, if you're a Chastain fan, to the flip side, oh, well, he's making a move. If Kyle Busch did that, you'd be saying, oh, hell yeah, look at him making a move.
Yeah.
I agree, though. But it's that reputation that gets you in the conversation.
Yeah.
Without that reputation, we're saying, oh, dude, did you see how awesome and fast Ross's car was all day? He was pushing people 3 wide. He knew he had a fast car.
He couldn't get stuck in dirty air. Lane.
He wanted to get up front, and he wanted to get up front as quick as he could. Track position, clean air. He's doing what he can to get up front. It all makes sense, but the reputation comes into play.
Yeah.
And once you start making those egregious moves early in a race and doing it every restart, and you have that reputation, I'm sorry, you cannot compare it to anybody else. You can't compare it to Elliott if he tried to go to. You can't do it. You cannot do it. The reputation, it lives with you. Trust me on that. I know.
Oh, yeah. I agree. How about you, Matt? What's your record or your checkers since you had the same records?
Yeah, so my checkers goes. I mean, it goes to NASCAR. We talked about it at the top of the show, but it goes to NASCAR for calling the race when they did. They called it at 10:30, which was 2.5 hours before the scheduled start. And like I said before, they never do that. And for a multitude of reasons, was that nice? One, folks like you, Whitey, who might have been on their way. Hey, let's turn around instead of getting there and wasting our day. Let's turn around, go home, or do something else, with our day. We're usually held hostage all day with false hopes hanging over us, and we didn't have to deal with that on Sunday. Being in Dover myself, it was the right call too. So it didn't stop raining. I'm sorry, it actually did. It actually did stop raining for about 2 or 3 hours in the middle of the day, which would have been just long enough for them to dry the track in time for the rain to pick back up.
Yeah.
So there was there was an open window, but it's a false window because, like I said, there's track
still has to happen. Yeah, they
track drying time. You still got to do all the pre-race stuff with driver intros and all that. And by the time they got all that done, it would have started raining again. We would have gotten 5 laps into the race, and it would have been all for naught. And then it didn't stop. Once it picked back up at about 3-4 o'clock, it didn't stop the rest of the evening, throughout the middle of the night. So the NASCAR made the right call. So I just wanted to, sometimes we rag on NASCAR for making stupid calls and whatnot. We all knew how bad the radar was going back to like Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. It was talked about all on Twitter. Bob Pockris kept retweeting all of the protocols and everything. So the whole industry knew what Sunday was going to look like. And NASCAR didn't screw around. They called it early, and they let everyone get on with their day. So I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, to your point, my records was the rain, because it was the only thing I could criticize. And I know it's out of our control, but it's just the third. So this is the third non-COVID season Dover race to get pushed to a Monday. 2019, 2021, 2022, and 2023. So
I'll give you another records here because I had 2 in place of your little weather one there. And it's kind of a quick fun one here too, because I was going to wreck Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
I know he has 2 wins. I know he was super fast yesterday. But the reason that I wanted to wreck him was for the pure fact that he missed a great opportunity. He missed an opportunity to do what Chase Elliott did and to do what Kyle Larson did, which was to win another race, get more bonus points, playoff points, and cruise yourself through the playoffs by gaining all those points.
Yeah.
He shot himself in the foot. And not only did he shoot himself in the foot at Dover by getting that, the weather, everything, he was up front, had a fast car. I think he could have battled at the end. But he also did that and ruined our friend of the show who was at the race, Jay's birthday.
Oh, no.
Oh, dude, I'll wreck myself, too.
Happy birthday, Jay.
I'll give a little secondary, fun little wreckers. I'll wreck myself. I was with Jay for the whole race. Didn't know it was his birthday. I finally get home at night, settle down. I hop on Facebook. I see it's his birthday. I text him. I'm like, dude, I was with you the whole race. I didn't even know. I'm so sorry. So, Jay, happy birthday again, buddy. I'm sorry I didn't say it to your face.
I didn't know either. Happy birthday,
I texted
Jay.
him today. I go, oh, happy belated birthday. I said, I didn't even know. He goes, yeah, you know how birthdays are. He goes, just another day. He's like me. I don't really care. And I'm not on Facebook to know and get the notification. But, he was looking to possibly see a Kyle Busch or Kyle Larson, who was super fast. Both of his guys got screwed on his birthday. So, Jay, happy birthday. Even though that happened, I know you got to eat dinner at the Allentown rest stop. So that was that was a good birthday dinner.
Yeah. Dude, you want to know what? I saw his Snapchat about the Allentown rest stop and his birthday dinner. I thought he was just joking that he's like, oh, when it's my birthday, I want to come to the Allentown rest stop. I didn't realize it was his birthday. I'm wrecking myself then. Happy birthday, Jay. My checkers. Ty Gibbs, I'm surprised myself. I was super impressed with his run all day long. Just unfortunate they couldn't get enough gas in the tank. I think he was doing exactly what he needs to do this year, just running super clean and putting together good days. I think he's going to be really scary in the future. Man, I saw him in the top 5 all day long, and I was super impressed.
He was all day long.
They picked up on that on the broadcast booth, too, and they kind of went in and kind of gave him praise there as well. And another one of my spare checkers was Rusty Wallace. Was great in the booth. He was absolutely phenomenal, I thought. Way better than Clint Boyer was. He was very informative. He knew the talking points. He knew when to start and stop and not. And he gave Ty a lot of credit. And just, like I said, finishing the races, doing what his team is telling him to do, and not overdriving, not trying to, wheel around there and make a bad reputation for himself. If, this goes back to my records with Ross Chastain. If there is one person that I thought would have a really, really hard time transitioning into the Cup, it was going to be Ty Gibbs, because he has the same issues that Ross Chastain had. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, boys, for as much as we shit on him, he has been squeaky clean on and off the racetrack. And I'll tell you what, I think we are about to see a monster be unleashed within these next few years. If he keeps his attitude the way it is and the performance on the racetrack, we might be up there for a good old beat down from Ty Gibbs and all his haters, who we were once a part of that. But I see a bright future for that kid.
Yeah, and right now he's sitting in 18th in points, so he's doing very respectful. He's running good.
Rusty is a part of PRN too, or is it MRN?
MRN, yeah.
So he's got that broadcaster in him. He does a really good job on MRN as well. So that's the one thing I wish I was able to watch the race, the broadcast for that reason, because I do like Rusty in the booth. He's been up there before, I believe, and he's done a good job before.
A lot of people were surprised though, because apparently Rusty wasn't always the best broadcaster, even on MRN. And it seems like he's improved over the last few years. Maybe Clint Boyer needs to go to MRN and learn the ropes of radio before he moves up to the television booth, because man, Clint, again, rough, hot rod.
How many times did he say hot rod? How many shots did you guys take throughout the race?
He was making hay up there in his hot rod, and oh my God, so many Clintisms. But yeah, that's my checkers and wreckers. Going through the race notes, we already touched on Ross Chastain. He finished second. He led 3 times for 98 laps. Ryan Blaney, we kind of talked about him for a second. He had a great day. Really good car compared to his Penske teammates. He finished third in both stages and the race. So just a solid top 3 day for Ryan Blaney. William Byron, super strong in the beginning stages on the short run, led 4 times for 193 laps. He seemed to fade on those long runs though, and he got himself a 4th place finish. You guys have anything to say about Slick Willie 2 clocks?
He had a fast car. I guess, the tires wore down on him or something. I wasn't exactly sure what was going on there, but I mean, he faded quickly, and that was kind of the end of his chances to win the race.
I remember you actually were texting, being like, "Hey, like there was a couple parts of the race where you weren't getting them. Like we were obviously watching the broadcast, and like you wanted to know some information, and that was one of them where." He had a good short run car, and you saw it in the beginning. We hit where all the cautions pretty much were. He dominated that because they were all short runs. Stay out front. And a lot of those guys with the long run cars, the sun affected those cars a lot too. I know EJ had a better car when the sun was out. I know MTJ wanted the sun out as well. His car was better. So I did love that part about it too, the sun and clouds.
Yeah, I was listening. We were listening to the PRN on the headsets there, but it was a little choppy for whatever reason. So, and you know how it is with the track, and it's loud, so you could only hear every third word, which is it's fine. It still gives you enough information. But I missed what happened with Slick Willie 2 clocks, so that's why I was asking. I was like, what the hell happened to him? Yeah,
and then whatchamacallit, Denny Hamlin, he had the day he's been needing. He finished top 5 and 5th. He got into it with his teammate a little bit though. Just see the little frustration with Christopher Bell. He was racing hard all day long. I was surprised Denny got mad at him. He was just holding position on a position
Bell
track.
had no idea either that Denny was mad. Bell's like, "What is Denny doing?" He's like, "He wants to go. He wants to go. Like get around." Like, but hey, at Dover, that's what you do. You stay on that bottom, make him force him pass on the outside, and you're not just going to give somebody. Rusty even said that. Rusty. This is where I kind of flipped the switch and was like, okay, I'm on board with Rusty here. Like he called out Denny and was basically like called Denny a little bitch without calling Denny a little bitch, and said like, Denny, that's a position on the racetrack. Your teammate's not just going to give that to you. Like, what are you even complaining about right now? You can't get past the guy. Get past him. That's race him. You got to get around. Like you can't be complaining that a guy's holding you up. Figure out a way around him. So
Denny, get it together.
Tyler Reddick, his employee, finished 7th. He had a pretty solid day, especially for his history at Dover and some of the other short tracks. He doesn't have the best. And then someone we were really interested in all day long, Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher. The RFK cars look great. Brad finished in 8th, Chris Buescher in 9th. Brad even led 8 laps. Super impressed. I wanted to play Brad Keselowski in fantasy this week, and I didn't just because of his past history at Dover, and I regret it, man. You played him?
I'll tell you what. I have a fun fact. This was the first time since 2014 that RFK has had 2 cars in the top 10 in consecutive races.
Whoa!
Wow! All right.
Who were the 2 drivers?
Since what?
Kenseth
2014
and
2014 was the last time at Bristol and Atlanta.
So Kenseth and Newman?
Nope.
No, I don't think Newman was running for Roush then. He was running for RCR or someone at the time.
Yeah, Newman was in the 31 car.
Kenseth and no, it wasn't Kenseth.
No, it's probably like Trevor Bayne and I don't know. They had
Ricky. Ricky.
2014.
Oh, I love this. I love this. Great little trivia.
Roush in 2014. Somewhere Justin Pierce is listening to this, yelling at his radio the answer because he's like an encyclopedia with this stuff.
Whitey, put the phone down.
Come on, man. Come on. I wasn't watching in 2014.
All right, I'll let you guys know. It was the 19 of Carl Edwards and the 16 of Greg Biffle.
Oh, the Biff.
Wait,
The Biff.
wait. The 19 of Carl Edwards, he was with JGR.
Oh, the 99 of Carl Edwards.
The 99.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Oh, and Biffle. Wow. I wasn't even close.
No.
Yep, the Biff and Carl Edwards.
Flossing. Where'd I get flossing from?
Oh, man. And then 10th, Josh Berry, he earned his praises, and he's doing really well as a fill-in driver, guys. 10th place finish. Some guys with bad days, we touched on it a little bit. Joey Logano had an awful day from tires cording. He spun in 4. He caught on fire. Man, terrible day for Joey Logano. Feel awful for him. Kyle Busch killed his day speeding on pit road. And then I think he got into the back of the 77 when Suarez spun. I think that's what caused his front end damage.
They all checked up in front of him. He was in last because he had a lot of front end damage on that 8 car after all that incident. And I'll tell you what,
I don't remember TV ever saying. What's that?
He was still fast with all that damage.
Yeah.
Too.
I just don't. I don't think TV ever addressed how he got the damage, like where they like put bear bond on him and stuff. And then Brendan Poole and Kyle Larson were a victim of Ross Chastain. We went into depth on that one, which means everyone loves to talk about Martin Truex Jr., the winner on a Monday, which we really didn't even talk much about Martin Truex Jr. He was just lights out fast. But here on the Bumper Run podcast, we like to talk about the guy that came in last place. It was one Ty Dillon. He was a victim of being in the back. Suarez spun mid-pack. They stacked up as they checked up. And I think, like I said, I think KB got into the back of him. Either way, the 77 and the 99's day ended in that accident. Unfortunate for them. Fortunately, though, we have another race to look forward to.
Marty, you gotta come back with me.
Where?
The next NASCAR Cup race. It's the weekend preview.
And bust out your ruby slippers because we're heading to Kansas. Trucks returning Saturday night, 8 p.m. on FS1 for the Heart of America 200. And then Cup on track Sunday, 3 p.m. on FS1 for the Advent Health 400. Practice and qualifying 5:05 on Saturday. And like I said earlier, I was spraying the money gun because Eric won this week. Well, not really. He picked the winner with MTJ. He got you 49 points, but who really won this week was one Slick Willie 2 clocks for Matt. He got you 52 points because he picked up a whole lot of stage points. And then I came in third with Denny Hamlin. I got 47 points. A respectable points day for us in our picks.
I needed it. I needed it bad. I was getting mollywopped by you guys.
Yeah.
Bad. I needed that.
Right now, me and you are battling for second. I pick first. Eric, you pick second. And Matt, you pick last. We are heading to Kansas, 1.5 miles. I honestly don't know who I'm going to pick because we are only choosing our guys 3 times. I picked Denny Hamlin at Dover. I kind of want to pick another. I want to pick a Toyota kind of because 2311.
Well, while you're thinking about it, let me give some stats real quick.
All right, you got
stats. You can
kind
of mull it over.
Okay.
So just really quick, a couple just quick hitters that I saw while I was doing some homework was one 2311 swept last year. So Kurt Busch won in the spring. Bubba won in the fall. And to stay in line with that Toyota trend, Toyota has won 7 of the last 12 races at Kansas.
Okay.
So I just thought that was kind of interesting. Just take what you will with that. But Toyota seems to like this track a lot.
Man, picking 3 times throughout the season is getting tough because I want to go with Tyler Reddick.
We're going to have to start picking like mid-pack guys to make it interesting.
Let's see. Who's in the Gibbs camp that I haven't picked yet? I picked Bell twice, I think. No, I only picked Bell once. Man, I haven't done this in a while. Struggling. This would be a week that I would pick Kyle Busch in the 18 car, but he's over in the 8. Although Randall Burnett puts together a decent car at 1.5 miles, I only picked Busch once this season so far. I'm gonna pick Kyle Busch to have a bounce back at Kansas and get a win for you want to know what? No, fuck it. I'm picking Chase Elliott because he's back and he needs to win to get in. Give me Chase Elliott. I don't know.
That's why I took him the other week too. I'm like, you know what? Chase is going to have a good day. Like, I see him getting aggressive. I kind of want to use him up early too, where he's like, come on, he needs that win. I like that pick, Whitey. I do.
Yeah, give me Chase.
But I also like a better pick. There's been a whole LMC move to Toyota.
Yeah.
I used to follow Kenseth. I like Christopher Bell. I'm on the beers tonight.
Yeah.
I busted out the old shirt. I'm going with the 20 of Christopher Bell this week.
All right, I like
Good
it.
pick.
I like it.
Solid pick. Eric, I'm right there with you, brother. I'm going with the trends of Toyota. I've got a guy who I haven't picked yet once this year. He had 2 top 5s last year at Kansas. He had an average finish of 3rd. I haven't picked him. I think he's due for a win. The 11 of James Dennis Hamlin.
You know, I wanted to pick Denny, but I just picked him at Dover. I couldn't go back to back. But I like that pick. I like it a lot. He's been talking a big game about having to come back soon. And we are 11 races into this season. I'll see the number play. Could he be the 9th winner? We have 8 different winners so far locked into the playoffs. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kyle Busch, William Byron, Joey Logano, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Martin Truex Jr. Can Chase Elliott get his first win of the season and lock himself into the playoffs after his injury? Will Christopher Bell get his second win of the season, or will James Dennis Hamlin get his first win of the season, lock himself into the playoffs? He needs the momentum. I feel the momentum in his top 5 finish this week. We will find out this Sunday, 3 p.m. on FS1 for the Advent Health 400, and we will break it all down for you right here on the Bump and Run podcast Monday night. For Matt the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night and wash your hands.
The Bump and Run. There it is.